Hello everyone, Patrick here. We're back from FlightSimExpo 2021 and we're about to recap how the weekend went for us as the team and the overall experience we had at FlightSimExpo. So I'm about to be joined by Calum, Nick, and Greg. We managed to get on a call together across 3 time zones and put together a call to just recap the experience. So hope you enjoy.
Yeah. I just want to talk a bit about kind of the hands-on experience. So like these shows are the perfect way to try out new hardware. I mean, we had big announcements from Turtle Beach and Thrustmaster, Honeycomb. You obviously tried out a bunch of stuff because you were sending me pictures of you trying out things all the time and trying out the chairs and stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about your experience of trying things and kind of what impressed you, what didn't impress you? That'd be really cool.
The honeycomb yokes, I still have my own problems with the honeycomb yokes, with the feel of it. But, everything there felt a lot better. Especially like throttles, nice and smooth moving. I haven't even had a chance to get hands on with that yet, so that was nice. The their Charlie pedals. They're pretty good. I think I do have a problem. The thing I noticed with the Charlie pedals is they like to spring back and forth if you take your feet off of them while you're like in a position. And that's also the problem with the new Thrustmaster Boeing yoke is the turning feels really nice and smooth. There's no detent when you're turning. There's still a detent when you're pushing and pull, like every other yoke. There's another booth that had a force feedback yoke. It was sim. I forget exactly what it was. It was kind of behind the Turtle Beach one, but that one felt really nice to hold. There was absolutely no detents, no matter what, anywhere on that yoke, and it felt really smooth to use.
And nobody mentions it.
Yeah,
Arguably, that could have been the best yoke at the floor, but it doesn't get any of the attention.
I think it was. I need to figure out who the heck it was because I forget the name of it is.
That's cool. So like the thing I've enjoyed about these shows in the past is actually being able to go hands on with stuff. Like because it's we try our best with like the video reviews and stuff and trying to convey our feelings in what we think about something, but it's so much better to actually go hands on and stuff. And I've always appreciated these shows to be able to try a bunch of hardware which I may never get the opportunity to try or want to buy and stuff. So I think it's really cool that this year was very hardware heavy, in terms of like the exhibitors and stuff.
Yeah, very hardware heavy, and because there's so much of it coming out now, there wasn't much before. Years before, there wasn't too many things coming out. A lot of sticks and stuff like that, but now we're getting a lot of yokes, a lot of throttle quads. Like a lot of what we used was just prototypes.
Mm-hmm.
The honeycomb stuff was complete. That's already out, except for that stick they're doing.
Yeah,
but the Turtle Beach stuff was, if it even worked, some of that stuff didn't work, or it wasn't. A lot of these booths, the stuff wasn't mapped, like a trim wheel or something I wanted to try. I can't try it; it doesn't work, or just the sim was messing up. Then what was
Yeah,
good?
but you're right though. Like it's probably like, I mean, we don't know for sure, but it might be work in progress stuff. They could probably still refine the software based on feedback. And I guess that's kind of the point of them attending these shows as well, is to have people to give this feedback for like the first time type of thing.
Yeah, I didn't get to try X-Plane 12. Did you, Nick?
Yeah, I got to try it.
All right.
Yeah, I know.
It's felt the exact same right now. Even the menu is the exact same. It literally says X11 still.
They don't have a splash.
So-
It was they said something along the lines of like, I almost want to say I heard them say that it's X-Plane 11 with like the new planes, trees, water, and such. There was no clouds.
And there's also some confusion now. I've seen some people think that because you have an X-Plane 11 license now, you're getting it for free. But it's only once you purchase.
Yeah.
I just reread the transcript last night to make sure when I commented this to somebody. But it's only if you buy X-Plane 11 during their like pre-release phase or their beta phase, I guess. If you buy it then you get X-Plane 11 and X-Plane 12.
When he said that, I was like, so do I get it automatically? I don't know.
I think all we might get the early access, but then I'm not clear on that either. It sounds like to get the early access, you have to
Yeah.
get a recent X-Plane 11. But no, it's gonna be another $60, and that's fine. That
Yeah.
got us through 4.5, 5 years the first
Mhm.
time.
I mean, there was people talking around it. They were all like, "This doesn't feel like 12. This feels like 11.6."
Well, the X-Plane, yeah, it does feels like X-Plane 11 with some mods, like some stuff mods could have fixed.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure the mods have fixed most of those as well.
So I think just like so those guys had because I spoke to plenty of devs and stuff before the show, like during the interviews and whatnot, and like like kind of off interview, I'd always asked, what's been your like preparation and stuff been like for the show, and just trying to have a general chat. And the guys at Laminar, they were fully committed up until about a week before to actually be there with like 10 people, loads of information and stuff about X-Plane 12. And again, like I guess this kind of relates back to what Greg was saying earlier. Like COVID has had an impact both on the things that were at the event and things behind the scenes, and those guys had to basically spend a week preparing that video we saw, um, writing scripts for it, getting the footage and stuff. And I think what ended up happening, and actually even when we had that conversation before the interview, I asked them, is X-Plane 12 going to be at the show? And at that point, they weren't too sure because they still had a few things to fix in order to be able to get a product to be at the show. So I think, like you said, like I think you saw kind of a very, very early build of X-Plane 12, or maybe it was X-Plane 11 with like certain extra elements added to it. But I don't think that was in any way. What's that?
I feel like it was that, just the new stuff, like copied and pasted in. Because I remember seeing them just because the sims that were there before were just X-Plane 11, and then after the announcement, a couple of Laminar guys came in,
Yeah.
then plugged something in, were copying files over.
Yeah, so I think they just wanted to at least have that announcement and say, hey, here's something to look at. And I think we're going to get a lot more in the future. Like, so what I saw, like footage wise, didn't look like anything I saw from like the trailers and stuff in terms of what you guys used at the show.
The sim footage.
Yeah, I saw some people like playing because it was on the Honeycomb stand, right?
Yeah.
So I saw some.
From the Busmaster, yeah.
Yeah, so I saw footage of what was dubbed as X-Plane 12, and I was like, that doesn't really look like, because you like say the clouds were missing. I think the atmospheric stuff was missing. So I think the things that make the sim look visually different, like you were saying about like that difference between P3D V4 5, probably weren't in that build to give that quality. But
Yeah, a lot of the main things
all
we
the same,
tried just weren't. They're just not complete yet, so you don't really know how to feel about them. From the hardware to X-Plane, yeah, you can't really form an opinion. Like you may not like it, but it's like, well, it may not stay this way. So I can't say if it's good or bad. But I didn't get to try X-Plane 12, but I wish I had, just for a moment.
I guess that magic that we're missing was the wow factor of it all. Of just being able to try the new hardware, being able to try new software, see new software. There wasn't too much of that. It was kind of just like, hey, we're here. Let's tell you about what we do.
Yeah. And we
maybe
were
I'm looking at it from like a news standpoint, but
we were having a conversation that if you go to this expo and you don't know anybody, like you're done pretty quick. I mean,
Yes.
once you walk through, I guess if you're new to all that stuff, you're kind of wowed by it. Like I said, for us, I think we've been doing it. We've been coming to these for 5, 6 years. So seeing all that stuff kind of like wears off pretty quickly, like the magic of that. So then it's just, okay, networking, talking to people, love all that part. But if you're new and you don't know all these developers or flight sim, people within the community or people that know you, like you don't know them, but they approach you because they see the shirt you're wearing or something. We had some of that. But just a casual person going to it.
I am. That was me in Vegas because I kind of last minute decided to go. Didn't know anyone I knew. Like Will and then a couple of the Quality Wings guys, and that was it. And I was definitely walking around the floor for the last 3 hours of that Saturday because I only came for one day, like just wondering what the to do.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you kind of saw that.
I have to go, guys. I'll chat with you later.
All right, Greg.
Cheers,
All right, I
Greg.
gotta go to work.
Bye. So just on that point then of like the social stuff, because I remember my first one, and I not only did I didn't know anyone in the flight sim community apart to kind of experience it, but I was there as a media rep trying to obviously represent FSElite and stuff. So I'm like trying to approach all these developers. I had no idea who they were. They didn't know who I was outside of maybe like a few emails and stuff. I think what would be really cool to see in future shows and maybe replace some of the seminars, which we'll talk about in just a second, would be to have specific kind of like meetups for people. So like we could have like a newbie meetup. So people who are new to flight simulation, maybe there's like, instead of all these people watching a seminar, maybe actually there's kind of someone hosting a, you know, like those speed dating type of things where you can kind of go around the room and introduce yourself, you ask a few questions and you can mingle, find out what type of flight simulation stuff that they really enjoy doing. So maybe you can get all those people who are into like combat fighting, they can all have a little chat and stuff. Maybe all those people who are interested in GA flying, they can all be in a section, or helicopter flying, they can all be in like a little section, so they can meet like-minded people, not just like-minded in terms of, hey, here's like 2,000 simmers all in the same room.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool if they offered, hey, say like they set up a couple rows of tables and chairs. They say, all right, anyone who has who uses their laptop to simming, bring it on. We'll have we'll like partner with a hardware company. We'll have some joysticks you can check out just so you can fly around, and we can all fly at the event.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Kind of like a flying, especially with like
Yeah.
Microsoft Flight Sim, that stuff's so easy. Just hook up, fly, and
Yeah.
we'll be in the same server.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But I think there needs to be more of these socialing, networking opportunities. Or like, you know, even if you did like a flyer, maybe it's a helicopter specific thing, or maybe there's a airliner specific thing. Just like a bank of computers that people can socialize and chat about. I think that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, or like Infinite Flight. I know they couldn't make it, but a lot of people have it on their phone and some type of
Yeah.
meetup there where they all fly, or somebody's ATC, stuff like that. Yeah, this one was really, I think, missing the organized social aspects. Like it really was. There was, from the drink thing, not really collecting everybody. There's just, it was no different. That's my point. The drinking part of it, that little social event, you had a ticket on your badge to claim your drink. But it felt no different. It didn't feel like everybody was grouped up in this room to be social. It just felt like the floor,
Here's your drink.
as usual. Here's a drink that you can now walk around the floor with.
Kind of like a tick box. Yeah, we said we're going to provide a social. We've given them a drink. That's kind of it.
Yeah, and I don't think that was their fault. I think Evan and Phil were running around doing all kinds of stuff. I didn't see them in there. I didn't see them on the floor once after it started. But we were in and out of it all the time.
They were there a couple of times, but they were not there much.
Yeah, they got so much to manage. I think they were a lot of times with the cameras and stuff during the seminars.
I mean, that kind of sucks for them, right? They've spent all this time putting together the show twice. And like, so I noticed, like, so I was watching it online, and Evan and some other volunteers were always in the seminars and stuff, taking the questions from the online chat and stuff. And they did a great job, don't get me wrong, but I feel like Evan and Phil should be out on the show floor, talking to people, getting feedback from the community and stuff. And not only that, but also letting their hair down a little bit and actually enjoying the show that they've put on, and enjoying the fact they can mingle with other people. And if you guys are saying they were barely out on the show floor, I think that's a real shame, not just for everyone who wants to go and say thank you to them or have a conversation with them, but also for those two as well, who probably want to see exactly what the show is like out there.
Yeah, to get to enjoy it for themselves. Yeah, they put all this work into it, just basically for the community. They don't get to really enjoy it, I don't think, because there's just so much going on. There's probably so much they're managing that we're not even thinking about. Where I mainly saw them, yeah, was by the soundboard and the cameras in the main hall, like managing that, moderating questions and that stuff. And that can't be too fun for them.
So I want to just talk about like the seminars and stuff, because obviously that's the bit that I got to experience the most, being at home watching these seminars. What was the, what were some of the busier seminars, and what kind of worked well from the ones that you went and saw or got feedback from?
I think X-Plane 12 was the busiest I saw. I think everybody was curious what they were going to say about the new sim, so of course that got everybody. The other one I checked out was the visually impaired flying, which I'd always been interested in how that worked. I think we were going to interview somebody once. I was going to interview somebody once, and then it just didn't happen. So I was always curious how they do it. So that was really neat to see how they fly the PMDG and stuff and land it all successfully. And then, what was another one I saw? Oh, yours, of course, which I thought was really well for anybody just getting into it. And I did see a few people coming in that we had talked to, and we knew they were new and they were looking for that kind of information. So, and that was filled up pretty good. And I think that was the only three I got to see. I'd missed the landing contest. I saw them from my hotel room on the phone. I think that was organized pretty well too.
So you saw that through the. So even though you're at the show, you tuned into the online stuff to watch a few. Is that right?
Yeah, I think on the day it rained, we were in the room and I was curious what was going on. It was the end of the contest, I think, where they were awarding people, and then they started another one. And yeah, I got to watch that from my phone, and that worked out pretty good. So it was kind of cool being at the event.
Yeah.
I'm 100 yards away from it, and I'm on my phone able to pick it up if I'm missing anything.
That's actually a pretty cool use case, considering, like, I imagine like people were just thought that online stuff was for people not at the event, because it would be assumed if you're at the event you're going to go to those things. But I guess with so much going on, it was always cool to have that as a little backup, if, like in your scenario.
Yeah, you got to head up and charge your phone or something. Just plug it in, watch the event, put it on your TV. Well, I don't know if you could put it on your TV. Maybe. But either way. So, more things like that. The landing contests are a good social thing, I think. They just need more things like that. Even if it's like somebody talking about cockpit building. And probably better than having a presentation that everybody's sitting apart from each other watching. To have maybe a guy that brings some type of cockpit setup in, either a simple or a complex one, and just everybody's kind of crowded around. That would work for this year with the amount of people. I don't know if that'll work every year, but just have people more close, and yeah.
I guess if like Scalarchy or they're there with like their A320 and stuff, like you don't necessarily have to have these seminars in a seminar room. Like you could say, hey, at this time we're going to give a demonstration on the A320 cockpit, or like have several occasions and gather people around that way, and then actually show people kind of the intricacies of what it's like to build one of those things and stuff like that. And I think you'd gather 15, 20 people at kind of different timed intervals and stuff, and if needs be, someone from the show could record it and then, or maybe live stream it to a seminar room, so if people want to watch it without being surrounded by that many people, then I guess that's another way in which it can be achieved.
Yeah, I think so too. You'd get more people at your booth, because people walking by that may not even know what's going on, they're going to stop and they want to know why all these people are standing at this booth watching this presentation. So you get more people that way. I think that's a good idea. That's like what TFDI did, which I thought was cool. Instead of doing some drawn out thing in one of the rooms, they just did it at their booth, which was brilliant, because they got they had 5 cameras recording, and then other people are starting to walk up and look at it. So yeah, that's a good idea. I think they should do a lot more of that.
Awesome. So I wonder, so my experience at home was interesting. So firstly, the online stuff, like, it worked pretty flawlessly. There was probably once or twice where there were some like audio issues, but in fairness, like, there's like a live chat thing, and then as soon as one person said there was audio issues, like everyone like jumped in on the bandwagon, but they were resolved almost instantly. So the guys who did like the technical stuff did a really good job, and it was very seamless, and the audio quality and the video quality was really good. Um, it was, I think it was a good option to have. I think for $15, I think it was fairly priced if the seminars were of interest to you. I saw a lot of people complain or critique the fact it's behind a paywall, and why would someone pay $15 when eventually it's just going to be released on YouTube for free? And whilst I get those complaints, I also think for $15, the amount of content you get is really good. Like there's 30 hours of stuff. Admittedly, sorry, what's that?
There's just people that are always going to complain about price, no matter what.
I saw some
True.
comments, and they were really downplaying what you get for that $15. And in the end, my personal feeling on it is like, just help these guys out. Like, this is expensive. I'm concerned that maybe they didn't even recoup, the money to make it worth it. So I love that these events happen, and they need money to make them happen. So, $15 is a small price to support the only and one of the only FlightSimExpos in the world. We have this one, Cosford, the one in Australia that nobody can get to but Australians, and that's it. Really.
Josh told me that every drink we get, like with the drink tabs, is money lost for them.
Oh, hell yeah. And the drinks there were insanely expensive. So, and I'm sure they're paying that. Like, they probably paid for, I don't know, 500 drinks.
He said every drink someone redeems is money they have to pay the hotel.
Wow. But yeah, I agree, man. Like, $15 is neither here nor there for firstly supporting the show. Even if you couldn't go this year, like there's still over 1,000 people who potentially would have gone. It's not too much of a stretch to pay $15 for the content you get. Like I said, the quality was really good. The seminars were pretty varied, regardless of kind of your interest. Like I found the flight dispatch one really, really interesting because it was slightly different to typical simulation stuff. I found that I watched the presentation on blind pilots. I thought that was really interesting. And again, like the seminars for watching, so like the honeycomb stuff, unless you paid for that, you weren't going to get that feeling of watching the announcement and hearing what Nikki was telling about kind of the products and stuff. And I know we ended up reporting on those products that were coming out, but there's still kind of like the intricate details that Nikki can only really talk about because he makes the product, that you're only going to find in those seminars versus kind of reading, hey, this product's coming out or something like that. So it's definitely worthwhile in my opinion. I totally get people expect and want this content for free. I mean, this is arguments we've had kind of for ages. But it's a way to support the show, and it's a way to make sure that hopefully these things happen again in the future. And I would love to be able to see some form of online presence from these guys again in the future, for exactly the reason you mentioned earlier, Patrick, in that even if you can't attend specific seminars and stuff, you can watch them back at any point in time. So like if you went to the show and you didn't get the chance to go and see a specific seminar because of something overrunning, or you went and did something else, then you can go back in your own leisure time and catch up with what you missed out, which I think's quite a cool aspect and something we haven't had before from any show.
Yeah, and a lot of these seminars I do not think are going to be on YouTube. I think some of the most useful ones were not, streamed in that way, with people, somebody with their phone that's streaming it to YouTube or Twitch. I think a lot of the useful ones were not. X-Plane 12 I'm sure is out there. I haven't looked. I'm sure it's out there. Somebody streamed the whole thing. But some of the ones that kind of flew under the radar are not. Yeah. And there's a lot of content for that $15.
I agree. So I want to just briefly talk about how FSElite represented the show this year in terms of getting content and reporting stuff out there, and how kind of we work together as a collective because it was you two and Greg, who's off the call at the moment, and then myself, kind of running the show from both remotely and kind of in person. So from my perspective, I was sat here with like two screens, an iPad and a phone, and I had we had for the first time like this live blog thing, which I thoroughly enjoyed doing. So as well as kind of the typical like full story post that we tend to do, we also had kind of like a short snippet feed going on at the same time where I would post a couple of screenshots or pictures and stuff. And it was really well received by the community and those who were watching. We did random polls, we had kind of Q&A sessions, and also we had lots of like behind the scenes stuff as well. So, and a lot of that stuff was down to you guys sending pictures and stuff. What was it like for you two working at the show in terms of getting pictures and audio, not audio, but videos and stuff? And, you know, what's kind of like from the media perspective, what would you be guys doing at the show?
It didn't feel like it felt like we were able to get through everything really quick. Like because there wasn't much there. Obviously, we filmed the hardware stuff. We kind of walked around to see what else interesting to film, and then it kind of was not much else to do. I kind of missed the fact that we didn't have a booth, that we didn't have people coming up that we could talk to. That was fun for me in Orlando, being able to like because I don't find it very easy to go up and start talking. When they came up and talked to us, that was nice to just get a conversation started.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, this was the first year we didn't have a booth. So that aspect of people approaching us, like whether they know who we are or not, they stop by your booth to see what it's about or they ask questions. So we didn't have that. I think we had our FSElite shirts. I had one day. Nick and Greg had theirs, I think, the full weekend. And Greg got approached by a kid who wanted to take a picture with him and said he watches our website and stuff like that. I think you get that all weekend when you have a booth, but without that, we didn't have that so much. Having cell phones as good as they are now made it really easy to get you some high quality photos and video and then easily upload that to you, on whatever we sent them on. Because with my DSLR, it's got an SD card and I'd have to get it into the computer and maybe edit it. I don't know. I can edit from my phone. That was the beauty of it. Having the phone where you can edit, get all the footage, photos, and then send them on to you to further, put a nice piece out or about that. Oh, was it efficient? Yeah, getting our photos and stuff.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like I think most of the time, so we had like a group chat on iMessenger, and you guys would obviously you guys use that when you're out there to arrange like where you were going to be, what time you're going to meet up or whatever. But also it was great because I was kept in a loop. So like if there was something I knew was going on, I could then text you and say, hey, by the way, go check out this booth at this time because they're going to do this. Or you would send me the pictures and I could easily download them, upload them to kind of our side of things. And it just, even though like I was up to like 2-3 o'clock in the morning sometimes because obviously the time difference, it felt very it just felt very like easy to keep people up to date, and like all the stuff people were saying on our live blog was almost like minutes after you guys had sent it to me, so it was very, very snappy, very, very quick. I think also what helped was when developers had sent me information about stuff prior to like the announcement or revealing it or sending me imagery and stuff, and also doing the interviews and stuff with these developers. So I did them like a week before the show. So it was awesome to be able to chat to them and have all of this kind of extra content and extra footage, because obviously if we were at the show we would obviously do interviews and stuff. We've always done that at these shows and always spoken to developers about their products that they've either announced or showing off. But obviously this year with COVID, it was just how could we make this easier, and kind of the online route was a lot easier. So being able to do that and speak to these people beforehand and have those videos go live almost like after their announcement or fairly soon afterwards was really, really cool. And hopefully that people who checked out the site kind of got that extra layer of depth on top of the kind of the reporting we did and also the pictures you guys took, and kind of gave them that experience almost as if they were actually at the show itself.
So you kind of felt like you were there in a way. I mean, you're getting the info fed to you real time. The stuff you wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah, it was really cool. Obviously, I think, you know, what these shows boil back down to is just this whole social aspect. That was the bit I really missed. And when you guys were like texting one another to say, yeah, we're off to Dunkin' Donuts to get coffee and some breakfast and stuff, I was like, oh man, I'm so jealous, because I'd love to hang out with you guys, you know, before and after the show, and obviously all the other developers and stuff that were there. So yeah, I was.
Maybe when it comes to the magic, maybe it's more personal than I think, because not having you and Lisa there and whoever else was coming, I don't know, maybe Dan was coming. I think not having you guys was kind of a bummer too, you know, because every time I've gone to these events, you've been there, and you're like, and a lot of people asked about you. A lot of people ran into us and said, "Oh no, Calum this year," and we're like, "Yeah, he couldn't make it."
Oh, I'm going red. No, stop.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it's, you know, like on a personal level, this is our opportunity as well to meet up as a team, and we didn't have that this year. Or if we don't meet up at Expo, then it's in the UK in Cosford, or it's like, is it some opportunity to finally get together? And it's been what, nearly 2 years now since we've all seen each other collectively or done something collectively. So, yeah, it really sucked that we weren't able to be there. And yeah, I guess a lot of that magic is just being able to reconnect together as a team and do all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, we work together all year, nearly daily. We have some type of conversation, I feel like, in our channels. And yeah, then to not get to see you after that many years, and then now it'll maybe be another year, you know.
I would do something. Expo or not, we're gonna get together, that's for sure.
Yeah, we could use Meetup. Meetup.com. I think we need to explore what Greg was talking about and try to. I've thought of doing it locally, one myself, just a local flight simmer meetup. I know there's flight simmers in my city. I just post it on Meetup and then see who shows up at a coffee shop or wherever.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So do you, like, just on that kind of thing, and maybe we can start wrapping things up, but for, say, Expo 2022 were to go ahead, do you think a smaller version of it with less of a focus on kind of big product announcements and reveals and a more focus on the social aspect, do you think that would be as interesting, or do you think some of that magic does come from exciting new products and seeing new software being announced from big players and stuff?
I do think a big portion of it comes from that. It comes from the new products, getting to try things. Like honeycomb throttles, I hadn't felt those before, so that was nice to see. You never see those in the store, so it's hard. It's like the only place you can really see them unless you know someone that has them. So it's nice to have that stuff, nice to have the reveals, and I think that also brings more people. That brings more people watching. That brings more developers. So I think it does need that. I just think for this year at least, the social planning, there needs to be more focus on that. For gathering people, for socializing.
Yeah, I think a small social event, like, focused, would not work very much. Being like, I have another Discord server that I run that is, you know, it's got a decent amount of people, and I know very few people in there who are actually social people. So the idea of a social event, a lot of the flight sim community is quite introverted, especially when they're younger. A lot of it is now.
I think the developers and stuff are. I mean, they're social.
Kind of, yeah. But so, yes, a lot of the community has kind of built up this trust of a screen in front of them and having no identity. But then as soon as you get in person, it goes away.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's funny because, like, earlier in this conversation, we're saying how important the social aspect is. Then when we really think about it, that you kind of need a mix, I think, to make the show as effective as possible for people maybe like who are a little bit more like us and maybe want to be more social, to have more opportunities to do so, and those who just want to go there to try out the new hardware or see new products and stuff, they've got that space to be able to do so as well.
Yeah, I definitely think it needs it. It needs both, and I don't know. I think a lot of flight simmers are social, but there's also there's the introverted crowd. I mean, a lot of the ones I talk to, I think are more on the social side. I think some people are kind of afraid to approach you at some point. Like they might know who you are, they might recognize you, but they don't know what to say to you, so they don't even talk to you.
Yeah. I guess that's where a booth comes in handy, because then if people want to come and approach us, for example, then they can do so. And the same with developers and stuff.
Yeah.
If there's a booth, people can go
There's
up
a
to it.
reason. I feel like some people maybe think, oh, I don't have anything to really say. Like, I want to talk to this person, but I don't have a reason to approach them. You got the booth, there's a reason. That's your way in.
Exactly. So final question then. If 2022 happens, where would you want it to be and why?
Vegas.
My vote is for Vegas too. I don't know that you can do much better than that with just everything that's around you. It's like I said with this spot, it was kind of far to get like basic things you need. You know, just and the way San Diego is set up is weird. Like there's like tunnels and stuff that you have to go around at times, or like raised roads and stuff. That's what made like getting to places like a little different. You couldn't just go straight there. You had to go around something, or take the train or whatever. Vegas is it for me too. But before we end this too, I do want to recap just so we have the audio, kind of like everything we did quickly in the like everything we tried, because we haven't mentioned. And what I really enjoyed was that Platinum Simulations helicopter. I went back to that 3 times or 4 times or something. Because it was a full... I've never had the stick and the collective setup. So that was really nice to try. I was excited for that. Just, you know, I'm kind of new into helicopters and appreciating those. So that was nice to try. And then we tried that wingsuit, which isn't an airplane. Ooh. But it was cool to finally feel a motion sim. That was my first time in any type of simulator that moved, so that was nice, and it like tipped you forward quite a bit.
That was impressive than the VR.
Yeah, somebody was like, "Oh, I'm surprised you guys didn't check that out." But it looked cool, and then I heard what you said, that as it would turn, you would kind of go out of the VR zone.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, like. Every minute I was outside the seat where I was in, like I was sideways, I was side slipping almost through the door of the plane.
Oh, I see what you mean. Because with some VR, like in the Oculus back in the day, if you went out of that zone, it would freeze to like what you were last looking at. It wouldn't move anymore, and that would be really annoying. So I think they just needed a better setup for that.
Yeah.
And then other than that, we did Turtle Beach. We talked about that. And Thrustmaster. Oh, the end. Well, we didn't talk about at the end with Honeycomb taking the glass off their new stick and throttle setup and letting us try that out. And you're famous now. You're in every, like, everything people shares about that. It's you in the chair, or it's that was the other cool thing. Yeah. A lot of the photos we sent you, Calum, I see people making YouTube videos or people talking about it, and it's the photos we took that they're using to explain it. So because I keep recognizing that this one angle I got on the yoke, the 787 yoke.
Yeah, there's loads of that as well. I'm like, but this is the cool thing about having kind of like that presence of both you there and me at home, because you took the pictures and I could upload them, and like that was the first time people saw it, was like through our site, which was really awesome. Mm-hmm. And that was really cool. And I think it was nice because Thrustmaster haven't released any pictures like officially, so the fact that the pictures that we took or anyone else that was at the show took, those are the only pictures of that thing out there at the moment. So
yeah.
And I don't know if I told you guys, but we were in, I need to link you guys later on, but polygon.com referenced us and used some pictures about this new yoke, and so did a few other like quite mainstream and big websites talking about the Thrustmaster stuff. So that was awesome. I'll send you the links to that in just a second.
Oh, cool. I'd like to see that. But yeah, Nick, I keep seeing you pop up in footage and stuff.
I literally just searched it up and found one immediately, and it was like, "There's my face."
No. But yeah, that was cool, the honeycomb stuff. I didn't even know that chair took those components, because we sat in that chair earlier in the day. Those were the chairs they had, I think, for you to try out all their stuff. I didn't even notice off to the side on the arms that there's a spot for their stick and throttle to go. So that, I mean, that's nice.
That was honestly one of the most exciting things, was the chair, because I had gotten a gaming chair, and I was like, that thing was comfortable.
Yeah, it's better. I like it better than my gaming chair. And I got a
yeah.
What do they call it? The DX Racer. And I didn't get to try these. I had to buy this one online off of reviews, so I obviously didn't get to sit in it and try it to know. But that honeycomb chair is really, really comfortable. Like, I might get one even if I don't get their full setup. Although that is enticing because I don't know if it would work with my desk, because I have a corner desk looking at it right now. I'd have to sit back pretty far. But to have to have that stuff on your desk anymore, I like that. So that's going to do it for our coverage of FlightSimExpo 2021. I hope this gives you a nice glimpse at what it's like to be at one of these events. Obviously, this one was a little more thinned out because of COVID, but I did include some footage from previous shows, and these expos are a great way to get together, try the new software, hardware, and really get to just talk to each other and network. So for more coverage of FlightSimExpo, both past, present, and future, make sure you check out FSElite.net. We're also on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok. Hope you enjoyed our content. Take care.